Welcome to How To with NADTC, where we tackle your big challenges in small doses. On today's episode, we'll hear from Catherine Newman on the process of planning and facilitating effective meetings so that you can ensure your meetings are efficient, effective, and productive. Catherine is a training and technical assistance specialist with Easter Seals and the National Aging and Disability Transportation Center. Welcome, Catherine.
Successful meetings require careful planning, preparation, and a facilitator who can create a safe and welcoming environment. If members feel their time is wasted at a poorly run meeting, they are likely not to return or fully engage in the discussion and work of the committee. Meeting facilitation guides the meeting process, keeping it on course, working towards reaching the meeting goals while also encouraging everyone's participation. Finding the right person to facilitate the meeting and making sure meetings are fully accessible are important considerations. Today, I'll be sharing some important steps and tools for effective meeting planning and facilitation. It is important to structure meetings in a way that meets the group and individual member needs. A successful meeting starts with thoughtful preparation, which is necessary to create a welcoming environment and carry it through the meeting. All aspects of the meeting need to be accessible to all attending. An effective agenda sent out in advance will have everyone prepared before arrival and help to keep the meeting moving forward. Ways to increase the effectiveness of the meeting are to establish and communicate ground rules and a decision-making process. Always conclude the meeting with action steps, identifying responsibilities so everyone knows who is responsible for what, expressing gratitude for any help in planning and preparing for the meeting, and acknowledging all that was established during the meeting. From the moment that people arrive at the building, attention should be paid to creating a positive environment to help participants feel welcomed, relaxed, and empowered to share their insights, thoughts, and ideas. Here are some tips to establish positive and welcoming meeting environment. Choose a meeting location that is large enough for everyone to be comfortable, but not so large the group feels intimidated or self-conscious. Keep in mind that attendees may have mobility, hearing, or vision challenges, as well as cognitive, sensory, or other mental or physical needs. Finding a location that is familiar to attendees may help them feel more comfortable. You want members to stay focused and relaxed. Set up table and chairs to promote discussion, leaving room for people in mobility devices. Setting up chairs around a table or in a circle encourages discussion, equality, and familiarity. Try to avoid podiums or lecture-style seating. These can feel too formal or intimidating. Set the room temperature and lighting for comfort. Use warm lighting and choose a comfortable room temperature. Offer refreshments that include healthy options and be mindful of dietary restrictions. Discuss technology setup with the venue so you know what you may need to provide. Have extra paper, pens, and agendas available. Bring all technical and presentation supplies needed, and test the equipment before the meeting begins. Make it a point to welcome everyone who comes. You could build in a 10 to 15 minute social time prior to the official start of the meeting to allow members to get refreshments and mingle with each other. There are many considerations that can impact how comfortable people feel about interacting in a group and their participation in the process. As facilitator, you will want to set a tone that will encourage members to interact with each other and participate in the process. To be compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act, meetings need to be accessible to people with disabilities. Consider how attendees will arrive at the meeting and participate throughout. Here are a few things to keep in mind. The venue needs clear signage directing participants to the building and to the room inside the building. Try to find a location where the meeting room is located near the entrance. The venue should have ample, accessible parking. Is public or specialized transportation available? If not, are you able to provide transportation for those that are transit challenged? The location should have barrier-free entrances, hallways, doorways, and restrooms. Be sure there's an animal relief area for service animals. All meeting materials should be available in alternate forms like large print. Meeting invitations must include instructions for people who need accommodations to participate. An example statement is, if you require any accommodations to fully participate or have any questions about accessibility, please contact, etc. You would want to include the facilitator's contact information at this time. Agendas keep meetings focused and provide momentum. It should include the meeting's objectives, what will be discussed, and assignment of talking point leaders as needed for agenda items. It helps members to know what to expect during the meeting and can help them prepare ahead of time. Create and share the agenda as early as possible. Provide notice of the meeting at least 2 weeks in advance. It's always a good idea to allow input from participants on the date, time, and location of the meeting when possible. You can also ask the group if they agree with the agenda. You can ask for comments or suggestions on the agenda if it's sent out in advance. This builds a sense of ownership and lets them know you're facilitating their meeting and not your own agenda. Provide additional reference materials as needed. Providing these ahead of time gives members an opportunity to review the topic and purpose of the meeting. Depending on the diversification of your audience, you could also prepare a document that defines industry standard language and acronyms that may come up during discussions. Prioritize agenda items to ensure the critical items are covered first. Include introductions or an icebreaker. Keep in mind the number of people planning to attend and the overall goals of the meeting. Include time to review the agenda and objectives at the beginning of the meeting. Allow for comments and suggestions from attendees. Even if this was done in advance, there may be additional comments or suggestions to consider. Allocate enough time for each agenda item. We all have the best of intentions when it comes to keeping a meeting on track. Providing sufficient time for each agenda item will help the meeting progress. Discussion can sometimes veer off from the original agenda. When this happens, you can say, that's an interesting thought or issue. Perhaps we should get back to the original discussion. You want to stick to the agenda as often as possible. Sometimes issues can come up that are important and take more time than you thought. This may cause you to run over the allotted time, or you may need to alter the agenda. If this happens, discuss it with the group and get their okay before revising the agenda. Always be prepared in case this happens, dropping some items if necessary. The agenda will serve as a roadmap for your meeting. The objective is to follow it as closely as you can. Ground rules help clarify expected behavior to best support the meeting process. They should be discussed, agreed upon by the attendees, and put in writing, including them on all future agendas. If the group has already established ground rules, they should be reviewed at the beginning of each meeting. If this is the first meeting, you'll want to consider some of the following. If you prefer not to use the term ground rules, you can also refer to them as guidelines, rules for success, or team agreements. Call it what you want. Establishing ground rules help the members be productive and respectful throughout discussions, resulting in an effective meeting. Discuss setting up ground rules that everyone will follow throughout each meeting. Have 4 or 5 prepared ahead of time. Some examples are one person speaks at a time, start and end meetings on time, and no mocking or attacking other people's ideas. When finished, be sure the group agrees with the ground rules and are willing to follow them by reviewing the list of rules and confirming once again everyone agrees. Ground rules will help meetings run effectively and efficiently by improving the team process and welcoming environment. In order to make effective decisions, a decision-making process should be established. A defined process leads to greater commitment and support from group members. It can strengthen the cohesion of the committee and reduces confusion. Some examples of these processes are A consensus. Decisions made by consensus can be time-consuming, but can help to unify a group. A consensus is when all members develop and decide on an idea that is accepted by everyone. Majority rule. It's quick and efficient and can create division and frustration within the group. You can use weighted score to help determine a project priority. This method allows members to assign a numeric value to each objective according to their opinion. The ranking of objectives is how they will then be prioritized by the group. The highest score will take top priority. Pros and con lists help to increase objectivity and make considered decisions. Start by making a list of all pros, which benefit the objective, then a list of cons of possible negative outcomes. Once the lists are agreed upon, score each. The totals will help the group decide whether to move forward with the objective or not. Avoid detailed decision-making. Help the members avoid getting lost in the weeds. Minor details can be resolved by a subcommittee or decided at a later time. And bring closure to each item by summarizing the agreement or decision made. The importance of the decision-making process is that everyone agrees on the method. Members are more likely to support decisions when they are a part of the decision-making process. Before concluding a meeting, you'll want to summarize the key decisions that were made, identifying attendees assigned with the follow-up actions, and establish a timeline for completion of each task. Refer back to objectives and outcomes to show how much that they've accomplished throughout the meeting. Provide positive feedback. Remind everyone how much good work was done and how effective the meeting was. Thank yous. Take time to thank everyone for attending and participating in the meeting. Don't forget anyone who might have helped you prepare for the meeting, set up the room, or brought refreshments. Acknowledge any small detail that helped you in facilitating the meeting. After the meeting, it's important to send attendees meeting notes or minutes as soon as they're available, ideally within 24 to 48 hours. Check the status of assignments periodically. This will be a gentle reminder of deadlines and can help to avoid delays. A progress update should be requested a week before the next meeting. This is so updates can be provided to all attendees at the next meeting, either verbally or in written form. Careful planning and properly facilitating a meeting are most important in helping it run efficiently, effectively, and with purpose. These points discussed today are a few things that you can use as a foundation for effective meeting preparation and facilitation. NADTC's Coordination Committee Toolkit is a great resource for planning and facilitating effective meetings. It can be found on the NADTC website at www.nadtc.org. Thanks for watching and have fun planning and facilitating your meetings effectively.
Thank you for watching this episode of How To with NADTC. We hope you found this information valuable and practical. Be sure to check out our other episodes in this series for more helpful tips.